The 300th episode. Wow, what a ride. I can't believe we outlasted Friends, and it took them 10 seasons. Come on, Friends. Should have been a podcast. You'd have got to 300. In all seriousness, though, CST has been a pet project of so many people. If you are a newer listener, my voice didn't start this show until very recently. CST's humble beginnings started like most good things with a group of good people wanting to be fans and finding a way to fit in. Then came a website, podcast to help keep people informed, and really at the beginning, just spreading the word about the new USL club in town. After a while, needs changed. Listeners wanted more targeted and knowledgeable shows, so March to Matchday popped up, and then Talking Tactics with Coach and Justin Hoyt were added. Our hosts have had babies, gotten engaged, gotten jobs, been sick, moved out of state. Some have even left as their lives have evolved and things have changed. So we've put out calls for the next generation of fans to step up, and people have come and go. It's been a great time. Tonight, we want to thank years of listeners and people that have contributed to this podcast in many ways. And really, it's all of you guys that helped get us to 300. You've come to live shows, hit up our foot golf tournaments. There's a whole bunch of awesome memories I'm sure we'll touch on. We want to keep CST a show of fans, though. It's bigger than any of us. We've said that often, but if you want to be a part of this next generation, let us know. We will continue to shift and change as you guys need us to. We've been a rumor show and a website. We've been the blog that's been down at training, and end of the day, we always just hope we're doing what you want us to do, and let us know at feedback@CincinnatiSoccerTalk.com if there's anything we can do. Tonight we have a special show. We've asked former hosts to come back. We've got old and new. I think we're going to start with more of the new side. We've asked current favorites, and yeah, I'm looking forward to some of you old listeners hearing some of those voices again in the back half of the show as well. So many have answered the call. We split this in two sections. So you'll have a set of hosts in the first half and a set of hosts in the second half. It'll be like two shows smashed into one. Pretty cool throwback. Thanks for tuning in and taking part of our episode 300. Let's introduce these first half hosts. First up, we actually got Coach on the main show. I'm surprised he said yes. Welcome into the show.
Yeah, I'm happy to be here. I'm still trying to figure out whether I'm new or old because I'm one of the older people on the podcast. But I've been around longer than most of my co-hosts here, but I am certainly not a grizzled veteran like yourself, Boston.
Oh man, I was a baby. I was just a baby nobody when I first came to CST. They signed me on to write, which is hilarious looking back because I was one of the worst writers that CST's ever had. So I quickly transitioned into podcasting, thankfully for anyone who read the stuff I came up with. But no, you actually started writing as well. You put out some really cool articles, and I think Nate's picked up a lot of that analyst style, and then you've gone more into your show and YouTube. So we appreciate it, though. Let's bring in our next regular. You know him as the new voice of March to Matchday, Jeffrey Tebbets. How you doing, buddy?
Doing pretty good. If I knew that we were going to be celebrating the perfect game, number 300, I would have had the suit ready, but it's at the cleaners. So instead, I broke out the brand new stuff from the Queen City FC. Olive and York get there here. The orange and white bomb pops. Really good fit. I'm glad I managed to get my foot in the door for it.
Well, we appreciate you stepping up as well on March to Matchday. And I've heard great things from our listeners. I thought one of you would at least dress up like a Spartan, in honor of 300. Mr. Lance, I thought for sure that would be you. Oh, I got to mute you here, buddy. All right, let's bring you in.
Yeah, that would be a bad pick for me to dress up in anything. I'm not. I'm a no costumes guy. I'm the guy that goes to Halloween parties as the just total wet blanket bummer. That's too cool for the room. So that I would have not put my money on me to have been the one to do that. Also, again, like Coach pointed out, old generation, new generation. We started with a bunch of guys in their 30s and 40s, and the new generation is a bunch of guys in their 30s and 40s. So good to see we got that fresh blood here.
It's coming. Yeah, we put out the call every now and then. I think we're putting out the call again here tonight. Hopefully we get. I'd like to see some 20s pick up the mantle and jump into the CST fray. That'd be kind of cool. Jason, you're one of our newer voices. How's life been?
Life's been good. Happy 300. I poured out some of the good stuff for you tonight. Little OKI reserve that I had in stock. I know. So salute to 300. So that's pretty awesome.
All right, let's quickly get into the best and worst. We don't want to waste any time tonight because we have a lot of segments to get through. So FC Cincinnati, TQL Stadium, they only play Nashville once. You're hoping this is it. However, no Lucho Costa. Nashville shows up missing their lead midfield striker / goal scorer and evens it out. But 1-1 draw. FC Cincinnati cannot get the win, but they do come back a goal. So there's some kind of optimism there. Coach, you're normally the optimist among us. Give us your best and then find a way to give us some bad news.
Well, getting to lead off here, I have a lot of bests I could choose from. Just trying to see who I can screw up by picking theirs. My best is going to be a little bit off the beaten path. I was happy to see Yuya Kubo finally get back to what I know he can do, driving on the dribble, making some line-splitting passes. I thought he was not the best player for FC Cincinnati, so I'll leave that to someone else for their best. But for someone who has not been good of late, I was glad to see him back. In terms of my worst, I'm going to say creativity from wide play, whether it's been wing backs or traditional outside backs. We haven't really seen a lot of games with wingers. FC Cincinnati continues to struggle from wide areas. That forces them to only attack down the middle. And against a team like Nashville, they packed that middle in. FCC had only 2 accurate crosses the entire match, and both of them were from midfielders that just happened to drift slightly wide, as opposed to the wing backs that just can't seem to serve a single ball into the box.
Woo. Kubo is best. I don't think you're stealing anybody's there. Jeff Tebbets.
You know me, I start with the worst, so I'll do that. My worst is, this 3-game stretch here. Had Acosta not been goaded into poor decisions against Red Bull, if we had him for all 3 of these games, I think you'd get 2 wins and perhaps even a competitive draw at Columbus. The fact that we didn't have him for these 3 games, it really pushed us behind the 8 ball. We're in a good spot in 7th, but if we had won these games, we would have been at least in 5th. My best is that the stats were overall very optimistic. We were behind early, but we gradually picked up better possession, took chances at the net, and our passing was terrific. I don't know who it was that was out there on this field, but 87% passing rate. That's much better. They usually get 78. That's 4th worst in the MLS. So to have that good passing numbers and still get the 1-1 draw, I guess that's good and bad at the same time, but I'll call it a positive.
Clifford Adams popped in here with his worst. Didn't feed Barreal enough. I think he sent in a question as well about that, Clifford. I didn't really think about it until you brought it up, so that's a good point. Best, Junior Mourinho is back. Yeah, no kidding. He's been sorely missed. Matt says the best, draft picks performing in Roman, Celentano, and Murphy. Worst, 0 creative play from Kubo. Oh, man, I love it when someone counters Coach, so I appreciate that, Matt. Pat Doyle, Vasquez scores is his best. Worst, we miss another sitter immediately after. Yeah, but it's pretty cool to see us go down the field with some momentum, though, huh? Before I take too many good ones, let's get Jason's best and worst.
All right, so my best has literally nothing to do with the play on the pitch. It was just great to be in that atmosphere this weekend. I felt like that was one of the better atmospheres we've had at TQL Stadium that I've been to. The crowd was getting into it, especially in the second half, chanting along with the Bailey, clapping along. And there was a point where I leaned over to say something to my wife, and she said, this place is really loud. And she spent 8 years going to RSL games with me, so she has a little bit of context there. Plus everything that was going on downtown just made it just a great evening. Wish there could have been 3 points. Worst, the dude in 112 trying to start the wave. So we don't need any of that nonsense. But for real, though, the worst is missing sitters. We had several really good opportunities that we could not finish. And had Brenner nailed one of those that he had an opportunity, the roof would have come off TQL. Everybody's just desperate for a win at home. And I think that's what's separating us from being a solid playoff team. Defensive problems aside, we need to start actually taking advantage of that expected goal rating we have and actually turn those into real goals.
The roof came off in my seat, Jason. Brandon Vasquez, one of the two that he really had a good shot on goal. He kicks it in. I think it's a goal. I jump out of my seat, throw my hand in the air, and then look around like, oh, crap. And silently sit back down while everybody
We've all been there.
Oh.
Fell victim to the side netting.
Yeah, no, I don't even think it hit the side netting. I think I was just like, there's no way this is a miss. All right. Best and worst, Lance.
My best is the fact that this team got a result after giving up that early goal. Last season, out of the 20 some odd times where they gave up that initial goal and they fell behind early in the game, they only came back to get any kind of result 3 times. And only one of those was a win. So, and 2 of them were just, they were able to salvage a point, kind of like this week. But just the fact that this team is showing their ability to bounce back and get back into matches when they fall apart and, you know, things go bad early, which they did in this one. And it was super worrisome. You know, they score 5 minutes in, and it kind of felt like Nashville was going to be rolling from that point. So the fact that they were able to kind of collect themselves, get back in the match, it's something that I just don't feel like we saw in the past couple seasons. My worst. So this was the first time with my new seats over in kind of the corner, so left of the goal, opposite the Bailey. This is the first time that there was away supporters in actual numbers above me. And credit to Nashville. They were super loud, but it wasn't exactly super enjoyable, feeling like a giant pedal wagon was above my head the entire match.
They were louder than I thought they were going to be.
No, hey, hats off to them. They came in, they came strong. They were singing the whole time. Just, you know, kept singing the same songs that the U.S. Men's National Team does. But hey, good for you guys.
Did a bachelorette party break out up there?
I don't know. I don't know if you couldn't hear it over all the fan supporter 1.0 chants going on.
I think it's funny. We're like 2 years older than them. But we're like, you guys
so
are
petty.
so
We're
new.
so petty.
so fresh. All right, let's dive into the match, though. This was a big one for a lot of us because we watched the USL era. We don't really like Nashville all too much. I don't know a neutral among us that's like, yeah, they're fine. There's some bad blood between our fans and their fans a little bit, and that's all right. It doesn't help that they wear yellow. Cincinnati just doesn't like yellow teams. Let's dive in, though. Right off the bat, let's talk about the guy that's missing. Let's talk about Acosta. And Barreal was back replacing him. There was a lot of disgruntlement about Brenner being that number 10 role, and Barreal's back. Most fans are happy with that decision. However, did we feed him? Did we set him up for success, I guess is the question. We'll shoot it over to Coach first.
Yeah, so Alvaro Barreal had 80 touches, Boston, and Lucho Acosta averages about 67 touches per 90 minutes. So it wasn't a question of whether he got the ball often enough. He is not the kind of player that sees the field well in 360 degrees. So if he is not facing the way that he's going and facing his defender, he struggles to create. And playing in that number 10 role, unless he can drift into the half spaces and get on the half turn, he's always playing not facing the way he wants to go. So he gets the touches. He just can't do anything with them.
I think one of you guys had mentioned before the show the importance of getting wing backs. I've always been a fan of FC Cincinnati transitioning to the middle. Like, I really like that we're now a team that just tries to get the ball through the middle, get it to Brenner and Vasquez. However, this was a match that Nashville left those wings open, and we just could not properly utilize that side. Any trends there you noticed, Jason?
No, I mean, I agree with you. They knew that our weakness right now is that Lucho's not there. Had Lucho been on the field, I don't think, I think that would have changed everything. But they knew that if we gave it out to the wing, there would be some opportunities for them on the defensive end. But yeah, I think John Nelson has done a great job filling in for Matarrita this year, but we're really hampered in the wingbacks without Matarrita being in the lineup right now. Powell, he's serviceable. He did a decent job. He got his one, shot over the bar, and his quota
Classic
was filled
Powell
for the night. But yeah, that's just something we've had to deal with all year. And when you have that plus your number 10 is out, that's just going to make it a difficult night for FC Cincinnati.
Yeah, I feel like Powell at certain points just kind of, he was given space and he was kind of left out there, but he was just kind of just aimlessly drifting at points in that match. Like even when it was more on the defensive side, I felt like he was just kind of there, not exactly picking up anybody, particularly at certain moments. He was, where I was sitting, he was kind of right in front of me for half the game, and it was a little frustrating to see him kind of given that space and just nothing really happening at all there. Obviously, the ball has to get to him though.
I also feel like they don't have a ton of confidence in Nelson, the team as a whole. I feel like a lot of times they are trying to stay on Powell's side of the field. I might be completely off base here, but the few times he did get an opportunity to, whip in or cross, I thought Nelson did fine. But if he has an opportunity to have some open space and dribble, I don't think they're really trying to give him the ball. Powell is more of the guy that they're relying on to, use his footwork.
I think once they got Powell out of the game and they replaced him with Moreno, I think you saw definitely a lot more stability, getting the ball transitioning around. I think also part of that was Nashville just on their heels and saying to themselves, look, we don't have our number 10. Let's do our best to just keep this defensive form in check. But once Moreno got out there, it really didn't matter who the wingbacks were. You were really doing a good job keeping possession, making sure that the ball really was not getting behind them. And if it was being cleaned up by the back three.
I wish we had all night to talk about this game because I thought there was many, many interesting things about this one. But there was one season-long theme, and that was set pieces. I do not understand what is wrong, what is broken.
Didn't they hire a set piece guy?
I thought,
didn't they bring in a guy for the staff that that's kind of his what he was doing, like the set piece consultant? Did I hear that wrong? Did they not do that?
is it acceptable, Coach, for a team to cancel all normal practice for the week and just do set pieces?
Acceptable, sure, because coaches can do what they want, right? But advisable, I don't think so. I actually talked to Justin about this a lot as a former player. He kind of talked about how it's really easy as a defender when the ball is not hit into your area to think, oh yeah, my teammates got that, and kind of tune out for a half second. And I think that's where the problem is coming for FC Cincinnati. It's not really a tactical thing. Most of these goals are happening as second balls, right? This one was flicked on at the near post, then Walker Zimmerman hipped it towards the goal, and then Teal Bunbury kicked it in. So it's those defenders that are kind of, as the ball starts rattling around, they start looking what's happening as opposed to be staying tuned in and ready to clear that ball out.
They all felt a lot like the stoppage time goals in the NYCFC games, where it was just a lot of standing around and nobody making the move for the ball to clear it out.
You would think, though, with guys like Jeff Cameron out there as center back, or when he's playing Tyler Blackett, that you wouldn't be having that sort of problem with the amount of experience they have, right?
You would
think. I mean, you would think, but the problem comes not just in, one player doing it. It's kind of like the whole team. And especially when you're playing a hybrid zonal and man-to-man system like FC Cincinnati is using, everybody has to do their job. Jeff Cameron, for that set piece, was in man-to-man. They matched him up on Walker Zimmerman as, okay, the biggest set piece threat for Nashville, you're man-to-man with him. But as that ball didn't come to Walker Zimmerman, Cameron turned to watch the ball. Zimmerman kept moving towards the goal, and he ended up getting a touch on it. So I think it goes beyond experience at this point, and it really becomes one of those things where every guy has to buckle down and as the set piece is getting ready to be taken, understands that we stay tuned in 100% until the ball is down the other end of the field.
And they had another corner where they should have scored. Nashville should have scored, but they whiffed the final header. And it was the same thing. It was just a lot of mannequins out there, just expecting the other person to do their job.
I think the first goal that they scored, I think it was probably a really good call by Gary Smith. He's probably seen what FCC hasn't been able to do on set pieces, and he just charged the entire team up into the box. It seemed like at that point it just worked really well. Yeah, you got to tip your hat to Smith on that.
All right, but if we're going to criticize, and I was writing down notes during the match, I was so mad about another set piece goal, and then son of a gun, right as I was preparing my rant for this show, FC Cincinnati gets a goal off a set piece, and I was like, take it. Now I have to give credit where credit's due. I didn't really say dang it, I was happy. But was that planned? Since you're talking about coaches and plays, the FC Cincinnati set piece was kind of pretty. Granted, Vasquez got it on a rebound, but the initial buildup was pretty neat, I thought.
I think 100% it was planned. In the first half, you saw every single corner kick go straight into the 6-yard box. And then all of a sudden they decide to ping one out to the top of the box. Watch that ball as it goes out to Barrial, and take your eyes off the ball and watch Vasquez and Brenner. They both get sideways on, find that last defender and get ready because they know that this is coming. The whole idea of that play is clip it out to Barrial. Barrial try to make good contact and look for a deflection, a rebound, or maybe Barrial hits it sweet and has a banger. But I think that it was absolutely planned and it was really well executed.
Didn't they call that like a Wando special, a Wondolowski special?
Yep.
I didn't hear that. That's very good though. 6 is that 6 headers for Brandon?
Leads the MLS. Yep. The next closest competitor has 4.
But how many pancakes?
More than 6.
11 pancakes.
All right. And Brandon could have had another one on the night if he just was a little better further out from the goal. He's really good right in front of that goal. But boy, you have to wonder if Brenner was in the spot Brandon was in when he kicked 2 of those. If that's not, then FC Cincinnati wins.
And if Brandon was in the spot Brenner was in when Brenner whiffed his header from the far post.
But Brenner was all over the place. Did you guys notice this, Jason?
Yeah, Brenner, I feel like he's really taken it upon himself to get a lot more space. I mean, when he came in, we all saw the highlights of him being kind of a poacher, scoring, really close to in the 6-yard box and everything. But I think he realizes that he can take a lot of the pressure off Brandon Vasquez. And I think their relationship has improved, at least on the pitch, over the past few weeks. They seem to understand where each other needs to be. And Brenner, he's a pretty decent passer too. So he's, realizing that he can be an asset and he doesn't have to necessarily be there in poaching position.
Boston, speaking of decent passer, because all of y'all love to hate on my boy Kubo. Did you know Yuya Kubo had 6 key passes on the game? The next closest player, Brenner, with 2.
Boom.
I'm with you, Coach. I actually thought Kubo played pretty well. I think he seemed a little tentative at times, but overall, he was not a liability at all. I thought he played, fairly decent for what he was given.
He had a slow first half. He came on in the second half, but he finished the game with 7 shot creating actions, 6 key passes. I mean, it's tough to argue with that kind of production from not a 10, but an 8. I mean, he played maybe 12 minutes at the 10.
Well, I think you bring up valid points. I just was so excited to see Junior Mourinho. I was waiting. I was like, take Kubo out, put Junior in. And then they ended up making a different switch, but it all worked out. Clifford Adams with probably the comment of the show on Facebook saying, how are they not selling pancakes in the stadium is beyond me. Come on, you're not kidding. Talk about just printing dollar bills. FC Cincinnati, get on it. My man Clifford with the ideas coming from Facebook.
The person I went to the game with went and got boneless wings. And they didn't have any forks, so they gave him a plastic glove to eat them. And he used it. He's like, oh, yeah, that'll work.
I haven't seen that. That's awesome, though. It's kind of weird. Get some forks at TQL Stadium. Come on.
Mid-season, we're already out of forks.
I think we're going to be the unpopular guys, but that's okay because we're going to bring the popular guest hosts on here a little bit later. You know why they're popular? Because no one's heard them talk in a while. We're going to talk refs. And I think we're going to take a different approach, at least most of us, I know I am, than others have taken this week. I did not think this was a mismanaged game. I thought the referees did a fairly solid job. And
we got a freebie too. Obi probably should have had a red there at one point.
Yeah, Obi went without even getting a yellow.
He went cleats up right into a guy's ankle. And they even reviewed it. And they're like, nah, play on. I was like, wow, okay.
That's to make up for the missed handball call.
I don't know what you're talking about. What I'm talking about, though, is handballs that could have theoretically gone FC Cincinnati's way and given them a PK. But we have two theoretical handballs in this match. We got one that bounces off a thigh, leg, and up into an arm. And then we have a second one where Dax McCarty was in the box and was pulling his hand back as the ball was coming in. But he got it to his body by the time that thing hits. And so
allegedly.
So the question is, are either of those handballs? I think Brian talked to a coach. He told us a little bit about that.
Talk to a referee.
Don't talk to a coach.
The coach will tell you it's a handball.
No, this is officially
from Noonan. That was a handball. 100%
a neutral pro referee.
Apparently, the first I got a good look at the first handball, and it went off of Dax McCarty, and then off the defender's leg, bounced up off of his arm. Apparently, that's a free play. I mean, it's you're making your body in a natural position, and that's what he's been telling me. The second one I didn't get a good look at, so I really couldn't say if it was a handball or not. But apparently, his arm was behind him, and so because it hit him, it sort of was an awkward thing that he wasn't trying to get his arm into that position. Which really bums me out, because I then look back at some of the past games where we were bleeding about handballs and all that, and I look back at the Open Cup win in 2017 against Chicago. Everybody was yelling about a handball in the box there, and it was the exact same thing. It went off a leg and then went off an arm. So I'll take that. I'll say that's fine.
I mean, that's something they're cracking down on more. I feel like in Europe, I've still been seeing that called over the past year, where it's going off of a body part and then up into the arm. That's still getting called some places, but I guess they're trying to not call it as much. The Dax McCarty, it was moving his arm out of the way, so everything's cool thing. I'm not buying that one as much from our anonymous pro ref friend, because that's definitely still getting called like a bazillion % of the time. Like, I've very, very rarely heard of, oh no, he was definitely making an attempt to do that, so we're gonna let it go. Like, no, like it still hit the arm. Like that's getting called all the time.
Yeah,
it's just like the Lucho thing of like, oh, but he touched the ref. Like, yeah, but like people touch the ref all the time. Like, what? Let's not start the consistency here and then only worry about it now. Like, if it's gonna be, that's what the call is. If you're moving your arm out of the way, if you're trying to prevent that from happening and it hits your arm, then if that's the rule, then that's the rule. But we all know that's not how it's been called.
Yeah,
right.
Playing devil's advocate. MLS is stressing. You touched on this. MLS is
they're stressing all right.
That bouncing off the body into the arm is not a handball. And so that's kind of been a focus for pro referees this season. I'm not sure if it's super consistent going back more than this season, but that's supposedly a focus for them this season. In the second one, I believe the rule that they said is the player making himself bigger? I think I saw on Twitter there was an argument that in the first one, especially, the ball changes position. It's like it bounces away from where it was going, and therefore it should be a handball. That's not what they're classifying a handball here. In the second one, Dax McCarty did not make himself bigger. He was pulling away, and his sizing, I guess, was the same. So that's kind of the two official explanations. Do you buy it, Jason?
No. I will never give pro referees the benefit of the doubt. Let's just be on record with that. And I don't like that argument that he's pulling his hand back or it bounced off your body, then hit your arm, because then that opens you playing, lawyer here, that opens you up to an argument that, well, maybe the defender could still like purposely hit it with his hip, then hit it with his hand if they're not going to call a handball that way. They're just super inconsistent about the way they are making these calls. And it's not just against FCC. Jeremy mentioned you see it in Europe where they're calling it differently. My biggest pet peeve, though, and I am the biggest VAR defender in the entire world. I think MLS does it better than Europe when it comes to VAR. But if there is a question of a handball in the box, I don't care what they're saying in New York, the official on the field should have to go and look at that. If you're you're already building in 3 minutes of stoppage time for hydration breaks, whatever, just say, I'm going to go look, guys, go get a drink. That's my biggest pet peeve is maybe according to the letter of the law, it wasn't a handball. I think the law is very up to interpretation, but you have a tool at your disposal to take another look. Go take another look. I don't care what they said in New York. You are the official. Go look at it and make the call.
Also, I feel like the whole thing about if he was trying to move it, he's trying to move his hand out of the way or stuff like that almost pushes it then into like intent, which is I thought they were trying to get away from that completely when it came to handball.
One thing that I hate about this discussion about handballs is, especially surrounding this first call, it lets the players off the hook. If you go back and watch that play, if the defender doesn't hit that ball at all, the ball's going nowhere because Brandon Vasquez is not in front of the goal and Brenner is on the back post marked by two giant defenders. Not Brenner, somebody else is on the back post. Whereas for cutback, in the cutback lane, Brenner and Barrial were wide open at the top of the box. So you know what wouldn't have been a handball? If Powell would have slotted it back to Brenner and he would have buried it into the top of the net.
There you go.
Coach. He was looking to fill his quota of the one getting shot over the crossbar.
I'll be honest, I was not paying attention to anything else. Once that ball hit a hand, I was up going, hand, like the referee is going to hear me personally in the stands.
Hold on, that man in that orange shirt is telling me something. I want to stop the game. I got to go hear what he has to say.
Yeah.
He seems like an unbiased observer. Let me ask his opinion.
Still shocked that hasn't happened yet. Even the line judges, they're right there, and they still don't listen to me either. All right, guys, you got any beautiful final thoughts about this game before I read the names of our supporters and we transition to another series of hosts? Anything enlightening? Anyone?
It was just
I cannot believe that nobody picked Obino Wobodo as their plus of the match or their positive thing, their best, because he was the golden goose egg that I left for y'all because he was so good, great at passing, wriggling out of pressure. I think he completed 4 dribbles on the match as a defensive midfielder. He also had 2 shot creating actions, a few key passes, and then defensively he was everywhere. I just thought I think this was his best game in the orange and blue to date.
I'll add to that. I'll say he did a good job. And also he was the captain of this game. He didn't have a really good first game up in Columbus when he was the captain, but it looked like he kept people in check and kept egos really where they needed to be in this game.
I already mentioned he didn't get a card. So for me, that's a plus.
That's how we count success nowadays.
For him, yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thanks for being on, guys. We're going to swap out and get to our next round of hosts. In the meantime, I am going to read off the wonderful supporters, the people that keep CST running. They pay the bills, and we love it. Brand new patron. We want to give you a special shout out, Maureen Desmarais. If I'm saying that right, awesome. If I'm not, let me know. I tend to botch names. It's kind of my thing. But if you don't want it to be my thing, you can fix it. So give us a shout out at Cincinnati Soccer Talk, feedback at CincinnatiSoccerTalk.com, or sign up and support CST at Patreon. You can also find it on the website under the support section. But our show is supported by you. So thank you, Ree Lee, John Davidson, Mike Hudson, Robert Stevens, Laurel Failer, Matthew Adamczyk, Riley, Stephen Burke, James Denbrough, Tom Newhouse, Brian and Brad Weigel, Brian Gills, Dan Alberts, Will Kychek, Ian Rexroad, Augustus Caceres, Bill Antonitis, Carl Feit, Jeremy Schrand, Kyle Pohl, Christina Sharpa, Rupesh, Tom Beaversdorf, Jason, who is super average, John Haskell, Ryan Ernst, Mary Lou, West Anastasi, Rob Pierce, Clifford Adams, Thomas Thepth, Pierce Johnson, Mike Prentice, Mr. and Mrs. Wiederhold, Rob Caselli, Kevin Day, Jamie Smed, Alex Carnegus, Mike Bowman, Patrick Lahani, Dave Tingler, Brett Sova, Chris Hubbard, Kevin Cooney, Joe Max, Jack Emery, Sarah Gorman, David Moore, Bob Ryan, Ryan Durkin, Bart Levita, Mark Neuenschweier, Robert Triple, Joe Lohr, and Bill Leopold. Thank you all for supporting Cincinnati Soccer Talk. I made it through the list. It's getting longer and longer, so appreciate it, everybody. All right, we have a new crew. I think Brian got them all in here. Let's see, who should we start with first? We'll welcome into the show Mr. Bill Wolf. It has been a while, sir.
That brings back some memories.
No, it's good to have you on. We talk to you every now and then, and I see you every week drumming in the Pride.
Drumming in the Bailey, not in the Pride.
Drumming pridefully in the Bailey. How about that?
Dude,
Okay.
Boston is flustered.
I know. It's the star power is just getting to him. He's just,
I know. Hey, it's not too often we swap hosts mid-show, so this is a new experience right here. I don't get a lot of those anymore.
I'm just excited to see Joseph up there, man.
I know, but don't spoil it.
I was just gonna say, everybody who's not who's not on the video is gonna be like, "What?"
Yeah, if you're an oldie, this is a pretty special treat for you. Let's go ahead and welcome into the show Joseph from year one, year two, our man. It's been a long time.
My
Welcome back
homie.
to Cincinnati Soccer Talk.
Good to be back, man. It has been way too long, and way too long since I've seen a lot of y'all. I'm usually hiding in the corner of the Bailey now, so. But yeah, it's awesome to see how the show has progressed since I left. I mean, started out with 4 guys on the podcast that air once a week. Now you're doing multiple shows a week. You have a website that rivals not only any, soccer related, FC soccer related sports show website, but I mean, SB Nation sites, even some of the sites I've seen covering other professional sports. So it's been awesome to watch and awesome to see the new additions that have came on, whether as writers or contributors to the live stream.
Look at this, dude. You talk like that, man. We'll have you on every week. Sweet compliments, right? All right, Brian. Well, I heard your voice. We know you're around somewhere.
I'm always around, man. I might look like my brother today if you're watching the video because somebody threw my glasses into some body of water. But yeah, glad to be back here. Episode 300. I was doing the math, Boston. We have 300 CST. We'll call this, quote unquote, main show. Okay. So 300 of these. We're approaching episode 100 of Coaches Talking Tactics, which to me is the best piece of content in FC Cincinnati Nation. Love you there, Coach.
Right here.
And here you go. And now we are quickly approaching, I think we are on episode 247, soon to be our next episode is 248 of March to Match Day. So you add up all those numbers together, add in specials and everything else, and we're over 550 pieces of audio content in 6.5 years. So that wouldn't happen without the love and support of everybody who listens, downloads. It's a labor of love, and I guess this is kind of like a big family, I guess you could kind of say. So we do it for y'all, and just thank y'all so much for listening and downloading. And it's just pretty cool to be here and seeing how much this thing's grown.
Yeah, I wish we could bring back everybody that has been on a show, and maybe we can eventually try to do something like that. But the amount of people that have done and contributed
Yep.
to CST in some way is a pretty big list.
Over
if you
30.
think about it. Yeah. And I know several people have had life and babies and all kinds of stuff that I mentioned at the top of the show. And we appreciate anyone who's contributed. We appreciate all of the fans that have listened. I know some people were year 1 and some people were year 5, and it just doesn't matter. However CST can contribute and help the club and help the team. That's all it's really about at the end of the day. All right, guys, we talked Nashville. We kind of wanted to bring our experts in here for the deadline. FC Cincinnati has 10 days left. 10 days to make a move. There is a segment of the fan base that really, really wants this move. Is FC Cincinnati totally ruined in wretches if there's not a new player that comes in 10 days?
Joseph Sagai, we're gonna throw this one on you, big guy. Yeah, what are you thinking? Are you pining for a new signing here over the last 9-10 days of the window?
Is all hope lost, Joseph?
No, definitely not. Come on. Where have you been for the past couple of years? This is the most hope we've had. So I'm not one of those people who would be furious if we didn't get a new signing. I think we've had a lot of injuries that have contributed to a lack of depth. There are definitely some places I think we can improve depth-wise, which I would probably say at wingback, but that's because over the past few games when we've had injuries, I've lost a little bit of the faith I've had in some of our players who either get regular playing time as substitutes or even some of our starters. Off the top of my head, I don't have anyone specifically, but I'm thinking, I think this roster will definitely make the playoffs if it stays healthy. I mean, we just keep getting killed with one person getting hurt or Costa getting suspended was huge. You can definitely see the difference on the field without him. That said, I did want to add one more thing. If we're bringing people back, I want to bring back the two people from my favorite show if they'll come on, which would be Andrew Wiedemann and Jimmy Mclaughlin, because that was probably my favorite interview that we did of players when I was on the show.
Talking about watermelon and the shopping cart at Kroger there.
Yeah,
that was a good episode.
What's messed up is I've heard people bring that up after that show, like several years later, and I'm like, okay, I guess Jimmy wasn't lying.
Or he made it a thing.
If you're missing the
he's
joke,
not single anymore. That's for sure.
That's true. I see him in the Bailey. No, not in the Bailey. He's in the First Financial Club or walking around TQL Stadium nowadays.
Yes, he is. So, Bill, I mean, you're involved in the day-to-day grind of the Knights and the supporters groups. I mean, what's your feeling? Is there do you think like there's a natural tendency for the supporters to think we're kind of punting this year, or do you think that we're wasting this time with these lack of moves?
All right, so not speaking for me because you're asking me to speak for all the supporters somehow.
You can do either or.
No, I think a lot of the supporters. It's an interesting thing, right? I mean, 3 years we were the worst team there was. We were at the bottom, and life was miserable, and there was no hope, and all was lost. And now we have the best MLS team we've ever had, and what does that mean for a supporter? That means that, we're unhappy because we want more. And I think it's just natural. Instead of saying, hey, look at what we've done, we're saying, okay, but let's do more. And I think that's natural. I mean, the supporters want to win the cup every single year. And why should they want anything less than that? It doesn't mean that, life is over if they don't. It doesn't mean that that's a realistic expectation, but kind of like when the team enters the field, they should expect to win every game. And when the supporters go and watch their team, they should expect to get the cup every year. So, the closer you get, the more hope there is of it, and the more anxious you're going to get.
Well, we never win at TQL Stadium, so I guess we expect 1 point, right?
Yeah, well, that's an issue, but
hey, but FC Cincinnati still hanging above that playoff lane despite all these draws.
Yeah, and I think I don't know if it's exactly the question you asked, Brian, but from my personal opinion, that clock is ticking. There isn't a lot of time left here. I think what we've seen is that Noonan has been able to get more out of this team and these players than any past coach we've had. We've seen that Albright has made some very smart moves up to this point, where he has been he's been able to get a lot for very little, and to work within a very tight roster situation created by his predecessor. And I think, do we make the playoffs if we can't secure something at this point? I don't think so. Honestly, I mean, I think we've seen that this team had a bump at the beginning. I think we surprised a lot of teams. I think everybody used to come to TQL or when we'd come visit them, it just assumed it was 3 points, and they were right. But now, they take us serious. They realize that there's something here, and we don't have quite what we need. We're obviously lacking in the back end. We're giving up a lot of goals, so we need something. And I don't see us making the playoffs without it. But I don't know that that's the end of the world. I think that's another conversation.
There is something FC Cincinnati could do. They could go spend a bunch of 2023 money, like you've seen some of these other clubs do, and go pick up a player on essentially borrow the future for today. We've done a little bit of that in the past. Is that worth it, Josef? Is it worth it to go steal from 2023 and try to make the playoffs this year and maybe suffer the consequences in 23 and 24?
That's a tough one. If all else fails, I'm okay with that to a certain extent. Meaning, if we have to go that route for a player who can really, really make the difference, like we're not 50% sure, we're not 75% sure, we're 99% sure this player will be a difference maker. This player will be a starter. That said, we do have a lot of young guys. I mean, they haven't gotten a lot of playing time. Some have gotten none at all, but that I think have a lot of promise already on the roster. So I know I'm not answering your question because the answer at a base level is I don't know, but I think I wouldn't be upset either way is my answer. But I would prefer to stick with either, I would prefer to stick with this year's money if I had the choice.
Coach, so we're trying to make the playoffs, but also have a good long-term view. If you're Noonan right now, are you starting to get a little frustrated that he hasn't gotten those additional pieces that are necessary to, get to the playoff, that magical number 48 number we joke about saying, 48 points gets you to the playoffs. You think he's starting to get a little frustrated?
If I'm a coach there, I'm 100% a little frustrated with just some of the pieces that I'm missing. I'm having to play natural wingers like Calvin Harris and Alvaro Barreal at wing back because there's no depth there, and even the players that are starters are not cutting it offensively. So as a coach, I want to win as many games as possible, and I want you as the general manager or as the club to put me in a position to do that. Now, taking a bigger view, I think the goal, Josef, like Bill said, the goal is to win the cup. That's not happening this year. So you don't mortgage any of the future to make the playoffs because that's not the goal. Coming in seventh and getting a playoff step out would be great, but I think you build for the future. I think that you get the pieces that work right now. And I think that you hope to make the playoffs, but really you're setting the goal for 2023, 2024 as a steady build and to be actually competitors for the cup in 2024.
I mean, Jeff, before we transition to our next segment here, Tyler Blackett did not start this week. Ian Murphy started, I think, the last two over Blackett. Is that right? Am I wrong here?
I can't quite remember, but yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that has to be sending a message back to the GM to get me help, right?
I think it's giving a few messages. One, that upping Tyler for the rest of the season may not have been what was in the best interest of the entire staff. But it also shows me that Ian Murphy should be getting some recognition in terms of this is a guy that when they put a starting 11 of all the rookies in this season, he should be in the back line there. He's given you quite a bit of that talent, that unlocked talent that we didn't see when they drafted him. Same thing with Roman Celentano. We're getting some really good work out of our rookies. If we can get that out of our other rookies, our other academy players, have them come in, put a goal in the 20 minutes that they're playing, that changes the tide. And we're not talking about this. We're not talking about having to go out and mortgage the farm to get somebody for this year.
Low key, I mean, I think end of the day, you brought in Albright, you brought in Noonan to do Albright and Noonan things. You didn't bring in the guys we've had in the past that have mortgaged our future and put us in the position we're in. So where we still have a bunch of dead money on the roster, let's just let our GM do his thing. If you don't understand the Sergio move, that's fine. We don't.
Brian
need it.
loves
we
that.
don't.
This
We
guy,
don't-
no freaking idea.
We don't need to understand it. I'm just saying, let the guy trust the guy for half a second.
Pat Noonan's making Albright look really good right now. And yes, Obi's done very well. And Junior Moreno's done very well. But I think Pat Noonan is getting them. So, okay, you have people in Houston saying Paulo Nagamura out. You have Cincinnati saying Pat Noonan Coach of the Year. So he's doing well.
I don't know.
Ride the Noonan train.
Oh, Noonan's great. I mean, honestly, I said that right at the beginning. He's gotten more out of these players. I mean, just take him and Stom side by side, almost virtually the same rosters, right? And look at the results.
Through 22 games.
Yeah. I mean, there's no doubt that Noonan has gotten more out of these players than Stom did, and he's turned them into a team that is getting us points. It's not winning us enough games, but I mean, there is a limit to what he can do. So.
Yeah, Noonan would have my vote as Coach of the Year if Wilfred Nancy wasn't doing such a good job in Montreal.
Oh yeah, good point. Boston, before we transition to the next segment here, I just want to give a shout out to two gentlemen that are on the show right now. Not discounting, Nate and Jason and Jeremy. I just want to give a big shout out to Jeff and Coach for filling a huge void with, of course, Brad, my twin brother is out right now with his beautiful little boy, Caleb. I just want to say thank you to you two gentlemen for stepping up, and we are always, needing more people out there, and to have two high quality gentlemen as yourselves to be a part of this project that we've been doing for 7 years. It's meant a lot. You guys are great friends, and I just want to say thank you so much for everything you've done.
Nice shout out there. Totally agree. All right, that's my cue though. Time to transition. Enough of the sappy stuff. Let's get into the good old days, guys. Let's bring on the man himself, 6 foot infinity, Nick Suberling. How are you, sir?
What's going on, gentlemen?
Dude, it's good to have you back. Good to hear that booming voice again.
I don't know if you guys could tell. I actually bought my old house and moved back to the basement.
It looks like you did a green screen there, big guy.
It's trying its best to do it. What's going on?
Not much, big guy. I missed you.
It's been a long, long time.
I feel like, so if you're watching the video segment here, I'm going to make an adjustment. There we go.
That's Boston good. Just got demoted.
I just got demoted to the bottom half of the screen for those of you listening to the pod.
Yeah. Welcome to the bottom, Boston. It's just you.
I know, that's all right.
If you're watching, I moved. If you're not watching, when we're doing the podcast, Boston's always in the top left corner, and I moved.
I've been down here a lot more than I've been up there. To be fair.
All right.
What's up, Joseph? How you doing over there? You good?
Oh,
yeah, I'm doing well, man. Good to see you.
Yeah, I haven't heard a long time with you too, buddy. I think the last time I saw you, we were walking around the casino in downtown.
Oh my God, my mom's listening.
Did we lose him?
Lost him a couple times that night.
Clifford Adams, what the WTF? Is this the Hall of Justice Super Friends night? Yes,
that's right.
Yeah,
it takes a lot to get all these people back in the same room, Clifford. Let's touch on some of the your favorite memories. Let's bring back. The CST's had 300 episodes. What are your key moments? Joseph touched on Wiedemann and a Jimmy interview. What was that? Season 2?
I think that
probably
season 1.
But season 1, yeah. We had Wiedemann on 3 or 4 times.
Yeah.
Is that the only time we ever had 2 players at the same time, though?
I think so.
No, I think that might have been season 2. Now I think about it. You are right.
Yeah, that was my thinking, because we had them on individually, and then that was whoever's idea that was to do it collectively. Boom.
I think that was their idea.
Put 2 players in the same room together, and yeah, it's just going to be a blast. All right, Brian, you're up first, though. Give me your favorite CST memory.
Oh man, there's a bunch. I made a little list here. Let me scroll up. I think, of course, Bill Grandesto. That first time calling in randomly and having no idea what was going on, that was hysterical. And then, of course, that became the bit, and so many great memories of CST. That person is a special guy, and Tried to get him on tonight, but he's apparently locked up somewhere in a jail. So is what it is. And I think Subes and I might share this. The banana phone down for what is Miami FC.
Well, first of all, let's get it right. It was the Coney phone.
The Coney phone. The Coney phone.
Shout out to Tom in the chat for calling it out there.
Copyrighted.
Calling Griff down in.
Oh my God.
Bill, you were there too, weren't you?
I was, but I wasn't in the bar. Right. I was at the stadium, basically torrential downpour.
The fire alarm. The fire alarm doing that. That was hysterical.
If you're following along and you're lost, this show had a call-in portion for a while. Subes had the bright idea to have people call into the show, and it worked. It worked really well for a long time until one radio host got our phone.
Yes, I was going to say that too.
Chris.
Yes, that's funny.
Was that WEBN would prank call us in the middle of our live show?
Yeah, that was funny.
That was a good one.
I think a lot of this stuff was USL because we were doing very well. We had a long, I felt like the Jibby bite gate lasted for like 6 months, like just debating, did he bite that guy?
No.
Some of the greatest back and forth in Louisville. Like I went on like Louisville radio stations talking about that, and they come on here, and it's just good times, fun.
I'm wearing I don't know if you guys noticed, I'm wearing my old school polo with the original, I can't even do it right, Cincinnati Soccer Talk logo that I made before we had a professional make a CST logo. A lot of great memories. I remember the pizza with Yosef at Nippert.
Holy.
Oh my God.
The free pizza.
Oh my
God.
What was that?
So at a Nipper, right? When they had extra food, they just like leave it outside outside when they close the concession stands. They just leave it out. They leave hot dogs out, pizzas out. And so I'm like, just all right, well, it's free pizza. Like it's a whole free pizza. I'm not gonna take that. Like not gonna not take that. So I'm walking by and I pass by Brad, and he is just completely flustered. And he's like, where did you get a whole pizza? And I'm like, it was there, man. I just took it.
Well, and don't forget your girlfriend. What was her face? The lady that worked there, man. She's your girlfriend for like half a year.
What? Who?
The pizza lady.
Oh, got too many to count.
Yeah,
too many to count.
Yeah.
So that's what
it's
it was.
Joke. That's a joke if his girlfriend's listening.
Yes, she is. Thank you for saving that.
So you found someone that would give you free pizza at the end of every game.
Not every game. When we were like slower. But yeah, I would, and I'm like, it's free pizza. Like,
I mean, we used to do so many bits, like, what we did, like a fundraiser where I think I think it was like $1,200 or $1,300 worth of funds raised for Tom Grabo's Sports Games for Kids. And so, like, what I painted up. You painted up, Tom. Yep. We did a bunch of stuff. That was cool, man. Back in
foot golf was good, fun
foot
times.
Golf. Yep.
Pre-COVID, I'll say this: my favorite memory, that week I spent with Bill down in Bradenton at IMG
that was top of my list, man.
Going to be it will go down in my lifetime as one of the greatest weeks of my life. I got to Bill and I had unfettered access to the team. Like there was no other media there, like zero. And it was just me and Bill literally shooting, reports from the practice field with my iPhone. And we got Alan Koch coming up to us like, what player do you want? Okay, I'll go get him. Like, I mean, he made it so easy for us that week. There's no support staff, like no media relations staff down there.
Nope.
Alan was the SID for the week for us. And so we had that. And then we, I can't believe I'm blanking on the goalkeeper's name, but he was like pulling pranks on us as we were recording. He was the third string keeper that year in 2018. He was from Canada.
Oh, gosh.
They called him Coach because he was wearing the same cleats as the coaches. I'm drawing a blank, and I do apologize. It was a hilarious bit. This would have been in 2018.
A third string goalkeeper from.
So we had Spencer, we had Evan, and then the third string keeper was he was from Canada.
Hold on, I'm getting there.
I'm waiting for somebody smarter than us to put it in the social media chat.
Yeah. So we had that. We had, Bill got there before I did, so he did a bunch of
Mark
interviews.
Village. Mark
Village,
Wow.
yes.
Oh, that was it.
Holy crap.
So we had that. Bill was interviewing Forrest Lasso, and then he was interviewing and another name I'm drawing a blank on where
Patty.
We had
Patty Barrett.
We had Patty, but there was the other guy who was from Cyprus, and Bill kept saying Greek.
Hold on, I'm getting there.
Oh,
and it was
Cyprus.
The outtakes were just. I think his name was Daniel.
Oh no, you're talking. Yeah, you're talking about. Oh shoot, I know who you're talking about. He had long hair. Yeah, go ahead.
Yes.
He got signed to the MLS deal or something. No, it wasn't Tyler.
No, he did not. He got traded midway through the year.
Yeah.
Oh.
But I think his name was Daniel. Honestly, 2018 is a blur.
It was Daniel Haber. It was Daniel Haber.
Thank you.
Haber.
Yep.
Yeah.
So we had that. We had just a really great time that week. Griff ended up coming down for the last day, and so we did a post game show after I think we drew the Rowdies there at IMG. I remember there was talk of Bill and I broadcasting the game against New England. We found out 30 minutes before the game, and I'm like, "Whoa!"
You guys were trying to get internet out to the field.
Yeah, so we had no internet.
Internet.
So Kevin Noonan was the SID for New England at that game.
Yeah.
Can you imagine if CST had a whole preseason game streamed from an iPhone? That would have been total USL, right?
It was awesome. But so we're watching this game up on like a terrace. The seats are below us, and we're playing New England, and New England scores, and I'm looking around trying to find who because there's no numbers on jerseys, so you're just trying to get an idea of who these people are. And I look to my left, and it's Juan Agudelo standing literally right next to me. And I'm like, "Hey, Juan, who scored that goal for New England?" He's like, "Oh, it's so-and-so." I'm like, "That is awesome." So that was that week down at IMG with Bill and his wife was just, I'll tell you what. So,
but behind
something I'll
the
never
scenes,
forget.
right? Behind the scenes, this is like CST to the max, right? Is the fact that DJ, right? He was the media guy with FCC, and of course we're good friends with DJ. He's joined CST, he's done work with us and such. So we've heard sort of behind the scenes stories, right? And he had asked to go down there, right? And the club had said, we don't really think that's worth that. We don't want to spend the money. And then you and I show up there with an iPhone and a little camera, and Alan's basically, come on in. I mean, aside from taking showers with the guys, we basically had unfettered access.
We were releasing 5 interviews a day or something like that.
Yeah. We interviewed every single player. I did one day, and then Subes, you were there the second day to help with the other set. And then we put together an interview every day, or a set of interviews every day. And people all got to know the players. And then we had like you said, every day for the training, we had a broadcast and B-roll footage and interviews. And I mean, it was by the time they got to Cincinnati and started playing their first games, the whole fan base was already rabid about them. And it was FCC's wow, that's something we could do. I mean, it was crazy that, that it really hadn't been thought of up to that point, or hadn't really been planned up to that point. Of course, we never got that kind of access again because
they took that into their own hands.
They're like, that's us now. But,
we set the tone, it was just and what was fun about that trip is, the games would be going on, or we have training during the day, and then we'd come home and I'd immediately just sit down on my computer and start churning out these videos. I honestly don't even remember.
It was hard to get you to eat. It was hard to get you to eat, Subes. It really was.
No way. That's false.
I know, it's a shock, right?
My wife came along for the trip, and she was there for the the Florida and the food, and she's like, this dude never eats, man. So
I was a man on a mission, and that easily is tops on the list for my favorite memories of CST and what we were able to accomplish that week. I still I still, and when you brought up Bill Grandisto, that just hits me right here. It's like, that was so, I felt like, for so many years growing up, you listen to Bob and Tom. I felt like we finally had our own like routine where, they would, it was just, I don't know. It was a lot of fun. There are so many memories. I mean, the Christmas parties, we had the Christmas party at Brad's house. I know it's not show related, but it was
Derby days.
It felt like a family. Still does. I still feel like we're all family here.
Well, you're freeload on our Slack, pal. So
this last game to Columbus, I took a bus in Subs, and I got memories of
Pittsburgh. Back
in the day, the CST bus to Pittsburgh.
Some
of our old school listeners jumped on that. We somehow Subs had the crazy idea to sponsor a bus, and we took a whole group of fans up to Pittsburgh that wouldn't normally get to go, and that was a fun time. But I think we swore we'd never do it again afterwards.
That was probably the most stressful thing I've ever done in my life.
Yeah,
it was
being responsible for 50 other human beings is very difficult to stomach.
Well, it's just things you don't think about, right? So like I was so focused on the bus trip and getting people on the bus. We had people not show up that morning. I'm calling people like, "Hey, are you coming? Are you like?" And nothing. So we take the bus there. We've got pizza planned, delivered at the little tailgate area, and then the game ends and everybody's like, "What are we doing for dinner?" And I was like, oh my God, I didn't even think about it.
Did like Hagelin's parents come on that or something like that?
No, it was Matt Boehner's parents.
Matt Boehner's parents. Yeah,
Boehner's parents sat right behind Boston and I.
Yeah, and I didn't expect that. I was like, I gotta behave now. Oh goodness.
Behave. All Boston did was just sit there and play on his freaking Switch the whole time. I'm just looking at
that. He still does that.
That was a great time. That trip was awesome.
Yeah. No, I just look back and I know a lot of this stuff is USL, but that first scrimmage at Xavier, with going down into what was that bar whatever, and just, hey, we listened to your show, and I'm like, God, I didn't know actually people like think about this. And of course, I make a horse's ass of myself, like yelling to Xavier kid to go hit the gym or whatever. But just little moments. This whole journey, man, it's amazing how we went from a little stadium at Xavier to MLS, and now they're like literally tonight, 10:08 on July 25th. They're like Luis Suarez coming to Major League Soccer. It's like, holy crap! We were watching. Jibby fall. And now it's like, wow, two guys who bite people.
Shauna Coley.
Dude, okay, so I put that as my worst. I love Shauna Coley. Like, I have such a
worst
man
interview I've ever done.
Such a man crush on Shauna Coley. If anybody wants to listen to the worst interview in the history of CST, Shauna Ugo Coley on CST was
not necessarily his fault. It was just like, whoa.
It just felt awkward the whole time. It was like so much quiet, and it was like the person who gives you one word answers to everything, right?
You'll get that, and you never know when you bring a first person on if that interview is going to be awesome or if it's just going to be a struggle. And that was one that you were just trying to suck words out of a person.
Yeah, I do miss our early Jeff Birding interviews where he would just drop a bomb, and everybody's like, "What did he just say?"
Yep.
Oh.
Even unpredictable, right?
Alan, John Harkes, our old goalkeeper coach back in the day, Jamie Starr. All these guys that would come on the show and be accessible. I think that's what made FC Cincinnati. And now I do think, Pat Noonan coming on the show. I think those things are in place now, and unfortunately, with some staff turnover and things like that, it hasn't been as easily accessible. But I do think there's a lot of things that like Pat and Chris are doing that reminding me of 2017, 2016, 2018.
It's a good thing.
Mm-hmm. So. I think the leadership's in the right spot.
We had a great relationship with the club at that point too. Like Fumi was doing a great job of helping us out, getting us guests. She was incredible. I go back to like that first time I reached out to her and said, "Hey, we're a podcast covering the team," and she was kind of taken aback, like, "Whoa, oh, okay, cool. And I asked if we could get Birding on. She was like, well, how are you going to do this? You're in Toledo. And so I was like, well, we could do it over Skype. Now, now that we've had the pandemic, everybody knows about Skype and doing things remotely. We were just ahead of our time.
Yeah.
How about the live shows though?
Oh my God. I missed I wasn't at the first one. The first one when you guys had Jimmy at you were in Oakley at Buffalo Wings and Rings, I think.
Was that the first one?
That might not be the first one. I think that might be the first one.
So we had Jimmy there one time. We had Jeff there with Jimmy. Then we had Spencer Ritchie at.
That was at Buffalo Wings and Rings.
It was a different Buffalo Wings. Yeah.
Beachmont.
I was right there for that one.
Yeah, that was fun. He actually, so I will say this, Spencer Ritchie, he was on the show a couple times. He was probably, if you could put like Wiedemann and Jimmy is 1A, 1B, I think Spencer Ritchie was right there too.
Oh yeah.
He was great.
The guys who got it.
Yeah, I turned into like a 5-year-old when I met Jimmy. Well, I'd met him before, but when he like autographed my shirt or my hat or something, I turned into a child, man. Like when at that Buffalo Wings and Rings, those were a lot of fun.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, didn't you guys do like a live show from Bucketheads?
Yes,
Yeah,
that was the first one. That was the first one, I think.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
West Side?
Yeah, that was back with the Bailey Bastards when they were still the Bailey Bastards.
Yeah.
We didn't even do a video. It was all audio.
Yep.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
I do remember that. I just forgot that was the first.
Yeah, we've been around.
I knew it wasn't Buffalo Wings and Rings, but
We are looking at doing another one. Hopefully
Yeah.
here it's Sam. Am I allowed to say it? Hopefully
Yeah, you can go ahead and bring it up.
So we'll see. We gotta organize some things. So, but yeah, we're hoping to do another one soon.
Yeah, if you've missed all of our prior live shows, you will have a chance, hopefully soon coming up.
And we'll get Boston or Joseph down there, right?
Yeah, we should get Yosef down there. You want to do a live show, Yosef?
Sure, why not?
COVID just
Got nothing better to do.
It did. Yeah.
Remember when we broke the news that the USL was going from 5 subs to 3?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's right.
And now
'cause
we're back to 5.
We had him
Jake
on,
Edwards,
didn't
and
we?
now we're all back at 5 around
Yeah,
the world.
that's
It's
That was
like,
such a big deal. Like that was league-wide news at the time. None of us expected it. No. Remember that he broke the news on our show, and it took us like 5 minutes to figure out it was
News.
What? I was like, wait, does anyone know this? Guys, are we the first ones to know this? Like we're all trying to figure it out why he's talking. Like, is this the first time anyone's heard of it? Have you heard of it? No, I haven't heard of it.
Yeah. No, it's still like there's so many things. Like I know nostalgia road here, but like going to the MLS announcement and seeing Cincinnati Soccer Talk on a placard, and then going to this stands out, and of course PG Sittenfeld, whatever he's going to reside, but like going to like that David Mann PG Sittenfeld press conference to basically be like, yeah, somebody paid me off, so we're gonna build a stadium down here now. That was actually that was neat being a part of all those press conferences.
How come you got to do the fun press conferences and I got stuck in school board meetings?
Oh yeah.
I was literally at West End school board meetings, and Jeff Birding would look at me for emotional support because it was just me and him at one of them.
That's funny.
There were some good times. I mean, I could probably sit here and talk for 30 minutes about, I can't believe, first of all, that we're already on episode 300 of Cincinnati Soccer Talk. I mean, it feels like yesterday we did episode 200 when we did the draft, where we drafted all of our I guess 5-a-side team out of old FCC players.
Oh,
I mean, that's wild.
That's funny.
I'm surprised you haven't brought up the Crossbar Challenge yet, Suze.
Oh my
goodness.
Yes. So
who's involved with that?
That was me and Ben Knapp.
Okay.
Believe it or not, it was
Paul
on my birthday in 2017. We went down to Nippert Stadium and we filmed a Crossbar Challenge with Paul Nicholson, Kenny Walker, drawing a blank on the other two.
Oh man,
Harrison Delbridge.
I don't think Harrison was involved.
Really?
I felt like there was a defender in there. Well,
yeah.
Nicholson, but
Nico.
He won, right? Nico won?
No, Kenny won.
Kenny won. Got it.
Yeah, that makes sense. Kenny's
that is going to bother me that I can't remember who who else was involved.
I'm gonna look for it.
But yeah, that was a great. Oh man, and another thing that Fumi helped us out with. That was awesome.
All right.
And
How do you guys? Just out of curiosity, how do you guys compare
Oh, it's loud.
the new MLS rivalries with the old Louisville ones? Just wonder.
Man, that's a great question, Boston, because I'm still yes, Hell is Real is definitely our biggest rival. It's our derby. I get it. I still don't have a lot of hatred towards them like I do Louisville. And that's only because
I feel like Nashville's closer to Louisville.
Yeah, and I also have more disdain towards Nashville than I do Columbus, believe it or not. And I think that's because Columbus was on the verge of not even existing. So I kind of just, I don't know.
We're just happy to have another team in Ohio to play against.
That's
It's
true.
hard to get mad at them.
I still get sick when I drive by Louisville City Stadium.
That's
Because
because
of
of the
the
smell.
Yeah, soups. So it was Kenny Walker, Harrison Delbridge, Omar
was that?
Cummings, and Paul Nicholson.
Oh man, I don't even remember Omar being involved. Oh my gosh.
Well, it's because
Normally,
like,
I'm
there
the
was
one who
only
has the
one
memory.
crossbar hit the whole time. USL.
That should have been the sign that we shouldn't have took USL players up right there.
Oh, that's fine.
That's a low blow.
That was a good time, man. I can't believe I
Pat Noonan
forgot
would
the
have won with him.
crossbar.
He would have won with them. Yes, he 100% would have. He's doing it
Really?
now.
That's a hot take.
He's doing it now.
Pat Noonan wouldn't have brought him up. That's my take.
Tyler Black at USL Talent. What?
Yeah,
That's a joke.
that's a big time head scratcher.
It's a joke.
I'll let
Well,
you guys all have the
well,
opinions on the
oh,
roster.
All I got to say is Brad and I recorded an episode of whatever the hell that was. And then the next day he says, hey, this guy contacted me. I think Fumi put us in touch. Said this guy, Nick and Yosef, wanted to record something. So we recorded the next day and we just absolutely guessed on a starting 11 for FC Cincinnati players. And then this thing went downhill from there. And it's incredible how we just did something like, hey, we love soccer and we want it to be people be involved. And then now we're MLS and US soccer. It's a head scratcher to this day that we're where we are.
And honestly, I look back and Yosef and I, when the team was announced back in August of 2015, I bought the domain that day. And I started reaching out to people at the club. I think his name is Gary DeJesus.
Oh yeah.
And then Gary got me in touch with Yosef, and Yosef was going to have like two buddies be on our show. We started a group me, which is like a kind of a Slack. And I'm messaging Yosef and these guys, and Yosef's like the only one responding. Like Yosef is the only one who wants to get involved. He's the one to, get a microphone, do all these things. And then these other two guys, I don't know what happened to Yosef, but they were like, they just never committed. Yeah. And then it was just us two. And then next thing I know, it's February. And it's like, well, there's going to be a game here in like a week. We probably should do an episode.
Well, and we get to start out, we got two better to replace them anyway. So
it worked out. Yeah, very, very much.
But you remember the first episode? You had sent me an invite, and we were using Skype at the time, I think. But I had forgotten my Skype password, so I created a new Skype, and I'm like waiting, and then I email you. I'm like, oh, he doesn't have my Skype. So like the first segment, Nick's all by himself. I mean, he did a great job. And then the second segment, was by far my worst segment ever in CST. I was so flustered, but like you said, it was all downhill from there. And then now it's just such a plethora of content. It's all content.
You know what you mean?
Yeah.
So it was just the two of you for the first step?
Yeah.
No.
Well, we kind of had
trial run.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess you could call it that.
And then what? Then it was Bill. Were you there? When did you come?
No.
I
Bill?
came in later. I came in after Walker.
I feel like Bill. Were you who?
That's right, Michael.
Michael Walker.
Oh yeah, Michael. That's right.
Yeah,
So
he
it
joined
was
Went on to
Joseph,
create Orange and
Soups,
Blue
Brad,
Press.
Brian, Michael, then Bill.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, I think that's it. I think that's correct.
And then somewhere in year one, you guys found me.
Because
at a
you're
TV
Reddit king.
Yeah, I think you started getting involved right around foot golf.
Yeah, that makes sense. All I know is I was painting next to Brian, and he was like, "Want to write?"
That's right. I forgot about that at Jeremy's studio.
I was like, "Yeah, I guess." You just signed the worst writer in the universe to your website. Congratulations, you suckers.
Yeah, right, dude. You had like a crap ton of hits on your April Fool's posts.
So you're right. The best article I ever had on the website was
Fake
completely
article.
made up.
All right.
I remember you were talking all about it on our trip to Pittsburgh. Like you were all pumped for it, and
Oh yeah, dude. That was a good hit for a couple of years. Yeah, we're getting a lot of I loved foot golfs in the chat. We're getting a lot of people that missed the call-in shows. We might have to do a throwback call-in show one of these days.
Anybody wants to plan a foot golf outing, let me know.
Brad was our big foot golf planner. I wish he could
Yeah.
be on tonight. Congratulations to him. I think
So,
he's knee deep in
Little
diapers.
little
Little
Caleb Bradley Weigel just was brought home this evening. So we did a little Skype with Caleb and Lily and Brian about 7:00 tonight. So he's good and healthy. We had a little up and down with him, but he's looking good. So we're very blessed.
Big
I'd love to
congrats
hear how Brad's
Brad.
feeling right now.
Oh, I'm gonna, dude. The dude's been
We haven't heard a peep from him, have we?
critiquing
Soups?
my parenting for 7 years. I cannot wait.
He needs 24 hours for it to set in, and then he's going to realize just how over his head it is.
Can't
Yep.
wait.
Right now, he's thinking it's all good.
He's probably on the trip home from the hospital. He's like, I cannot remember the last time I drove the speed limit on the highway.
He's had a very adventurous 5 days, so I'll let him settle in.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fair. All right, any last words before we head out of here, guys?
No, I just want to say congratulations, gents. This has been a hell of a run. 7 years. Is it really 7 years? I mean, my kids, you guys remember when we first started the show, my kids were little. Now they're in high school. They're playing high school soccer right now. Like,
Yep.
What in the world? I mean, Bill, yeah, I mean, did your son graduate from IU already?
He graduated last
Yeah,
summer, and he just started med school.
I
I
remember he
mean,
was
it
playing
feels
for
like
Hammer.
yesterday you just moved him into Bloomington. Like, I can't
know.
believe the thing. Like, Brian, you had 2 kids since the start of the show.
Anyone want one for free?
Boston, like, I don't know what you're doing. You're going on another trip somewhere soon, I'm sure. Taking
That was
more
like
PTO.
that was 16 vacations ago, Soups.
I mean,
PTO.
it's crazy. It's crazy. But I just want to say congrats, gentlemen. It's been an honor working with you all these years. I'm proud to see you guys still keeping it going. And I look forward to all the bigger and better things you do with CST as it moves forward.
Yeah, we put out a shout at the beginning of the show. CST is always looking for the next generation. I like to think of it as a show that evolves and changes as people need it to. You know, CST was at one point a news source for player signings, and then we figured out maybe that's not our best niche and pivoted and become
Yeah, the one time I tried it blew up in my face.
yeah, now we
Got
do
a lot of
more
hits.
analytical things.
Probably
Yeah, right?
the biggest tweet I've ever. I mean, I don't know. That was nuts, but yeah, it's a pity that it didn't work out.
It was true. It was true at the time, pal.
The next
I did
big
there, Bill.
CST host could be listening right now. Never know.
It's true.
So always feel free to reach out. We want this to be a place you can always write in and always let us know what you're thinking. No judgment here. Even if you're always, at the end of the day, you're probably always smarter than me. I knew nothing about soccer when I jumped on this show, so some would say I still don't.
I didn't know that Coach was still here. I mean, all those episodes of Talking Tactics I did with him, I mean, those were fun too. And bringing Jeff on board, I mean, man, Jeff, I'm glad you came on board with CST.
Soup's got to explore all the dark regions of my basement via webcam.
And your cat.
It sucks. It's still sunny out there in California right now.
I know. Look at that sun out of his window.
It was a terrible today. It was only 63 degrees and sunny.
Oh, such a face.
Well, we appreciate you hanging in there and reminiscing with us tonight. I know it's gone a little bit longer than you might be used to. If you're still listening, well, I hope it was interesting and fun. We like getting the band back together. We chat, but this is special, seeing everybody in person and talking. So thank you for tuning in. Thank you for listening and supporting CST over the years. We hope episode 300 is just getting going and CST continues long past any of us, and the fans just keep carrying it forward. That's always been our dream, and we hope it's yours as well. Have a good night, and we will see you at the next one.